A horrifying investigation detailing how President Trump is openly working to, in his words, take over the 2026 midterms, with loyalists placed throughout the government to do. FBI raid is now unable to verify if Trump's cleanup crew has altered. Trump signed an executive order that attempts to bypass the Constitution to nationalize our elections. Trump is ordering the Department of Homeland Security to create federal-approved voter lists and turning our local post office into. My question to both of you is, are you preparing for possible federal executive overreach? I don't need you to go into detail, just yes or no.
Yes.
Yeah.
Torres is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman. Congratulations to you and your bride. I, too, have been married 40 years, so we're happy to give you some insight information as to how to keep the marriage strong. I want to say thank you to you, Mr. Schwab. Thank you also to you, Mr. Simon, for being here today. But most of all, I want to say thank you so much to all of the people that work with you to hold free and fair elections in your states. It is, in the best of times, a thankless job, but these are not the best of times. This week, ProPublica published a horrifying investigation detailing how President Trump is openly working to, in his words, take over the 2026 midterms, with loyalists placed throughout the government to do it. Those are not my words, those are the president's words. What does this look like in real life? Trump already fired every election security expert at CISA. The very people whose job it was to protect our elections from foreign interference. At a time of war, instead of focusing on terrorism and defending the homeland, Trump is having our intelligence agencies, the FBI, running around raiding election offices and chasing crazy conspiracy theories about the 2020 election. Georgia's Fulton County, who the FBI raided, is now unable to verify if Trump's cleanup crew has altered any of the ballots that they stole. The Department of Justice has been demanding states turn over their sensitive voter information for almost a year now. And I just can't get over what happened in Minnesota. Border Patrol and ICE agents murdered Renee Good, and after killing Alex Preddy on the streets of Minneapolis, former Attorney General Bondi used his death as leverage to gain demand over Minnesota's voter rolls. Thank you for standing tall on that. The court stopped them, but this administration attempted to use a murder of an American citizen to bully you into handing over voter data. On March 31st, Trump signed an executive order that attempts to bypass the Constitution to nationalize our elections.
What you're hearing here is a rapid escalation from concern to outright alarm. The speaker isn't just questioning policy. He's painting a picture of coordinated federal pressure on state-level election systems. Notice the shift from staffing decisions to alleged raids, to demands for voter data, and now to an executive order that could reshape how elections are run. Whether you agree or not, the core tension is clear. Who controls the machinery of elections, and how far can federal authority go before it crosses into overreach? That's the real pressure point being exposed here, and it's why the yes or no question that follows matters more than it seems.
Trump is ordering the Department of Homeland Security to create federal-approved voter lists and turning our local post office into partisan hack filters for mail-in ballots. The hypocrisy in this committee, the hypocrisy waged in front of us is staggering. The president has already voted by mail twice this year. He knows it's safe. He just doesn't want you to use your vote in dissent. My question to both of you is, are you preparing for possible federal executive overreach? I don't need you to go into detail, just yes or no.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm focused more on making sure list maintenance is right. I mean,
It's a reality, though. Federal overreach is a reality. So I hope that you will focus some time on top of everything that you are dealing with, because it is a real threat that the president has already executed an executive order that this committee chairman has been leading, also bills to cancel people's votes who do not support their policies. We need every American to go to the polls and use their voice and vote to decide the next chapter of our country. The American people need, both of you, need all of our register of voters, secretaries of state. We need you in the front lines of this fight. Our voters need to know that when they walk into their polling place, their school gyms, their community centers, their neighbors, their neighborhood library, that their vote will be cast freely, counted honestly, and that no federal anti-voting extremist decided in advance whether they were allowed to participate. That is the promise of this democracy, and we need you to keep it. So with that, I'm going to yield back.
The gentlewoman yields back. The gentleman from Virginia, Mr. Griffith, is recognized for 5 minutes.
Well, Mr. Chairman, let me just say, first off,
Torres
This
is recognized
exchange
for
is
5
less
minutes.
about a single policy disagreement and more about a fundamental clash over control, trust, and the
Thank you,
boundaries of power
Chairman.
in
Congratulations
American
to you
Throughout this
and
segment,
your
the speaker
bride. I
builds
too
a
have been
layered
married
argument,
40 years,
starting
so
with
we're
personnel
happy
changes,
to give you some
moving through
insight
alleged
information
enforcement
as
actions,
to how
and
to keep the
culminating in
marriage
claims
strong.
of executive overreach.
I want
The
to
structure
say
itself is
thank
telling.
you
Each
to you,
point
Mr.
is
Schwab.
designed to
Thank you
reinforce a broader
also
narrative
to you,
that federal
Mr.
authority
Simon,
is
for
not
being
just
here
expanding,
today. But most
doing
of all,
so in
I
a
want to
way that
say
could
thank
directly
you so
influence how
much
elections are
to
conducted
all of
and
the
perceived.
people that
The most
work
revealing
with
moment
you
comes
to
when the
hold
question
free
is
and fair
finally posed,
elections
a
in your
simple
state.
yes or no.
It is
Are you
in the
preparing for
best
federal
of
overreach?
times a
And both witnesses
thankless
say
job,
yes.
but these are
That answer,
not the best
brief
of
as it is,
times.
carries weight.
This week,
It signals that regardless of political
ProPublica
framing,
published a
there is at
horrifying
least some level of
investigation
concern among
detailing
officials
how
responsible
President
for
Trump is
administering
openly
elections.
working
And that's where
to,
the tension sharpens.
in his words,
because if the people on the
take
front lines are
over
preparing
the
for overreach, it
2026
suggests that this
midterms
isn't
with
just
loyalists
rhetorical,
placed
it's
throughout the
operational.
government
But
to
there's
do
also
it.
something else
Those are
happening
not
here.
my words.
The
Those
speaker
are
is
the
drawing a
president's
direct line
words.
between federal actions
What does
and
this
public
look
trust.
like in real
Mentions
life?
of voter data requests,
Trump already
executive
fired
orders, and even the
every
handling of
election
past
security
election claims
expert
are
at
all tied back
CISA.
to one central idea:
The very
whether voters
people
can be
whose
shocked the
job
system.
it
And
was
in a
to
democracy,
protect our
that
elections
trust
from
is
foreign
everything.
interference.
Once it starts to erode,
At a
the
time of
consequences
war,
go far
instead
beyond
of
any single
focusing
election
on terrorism
cycle.
and
At the same
defending the
time,
homeland,
it's important to
Trump
recognize
is
the
having
intensity
our
of the language being
intelligence
used.
agencies,
Words like take
the FBI,
over, raiding,
running
and
around
bully are
raiding
not neutral.
election offices
They're meant to
and
frame the
chasing
situation
crazy
in the strongest
conspiracy
possible
theories
terms.
about the 2020
That doesn't automatically
election.
make the claims inaccurate,
Georgia's
but it does
Fulton
mean viewers
County,
should
who
pay
the
close
FBI
attention to what
raided,
is
is
being
now
asserted
unable
versus
to
what is being
verify if
proven
Trump's
within the
cleanup
transcript
crew
itself.
has
The
altered
emotional charge
any
is part
of
of
the
the
ballots
strategy
that they
to elevate
stole.
the stakes and make
The
the issue
Department
feel
of Justice
immediate
has
and
been
urgent.
demanding
And that brings us
states
to the bigger
turn
picture.
over their
This isn't
sensitive
just about
voter
one
information
administration
for
or
almost
one
a
set
year
of
now.
policies.
And
It's about
I
the
just
ongoing
can't
struggle
get over
over who
what
gets to
happened
define the
in
rules of the
Minnesota.
democratic
Border
process.
Patrol and
Federal
ICE
versus
agents
state authority.
murdered
Security
Renee
versus
Good,
access.
and after
Oversight
killing
versus interference.
Alex Preddy
These are
on
not
the
new
streets
debates,
of Minneapolis,
but they're being pushed into
former
sharper focus
Attorney
here.
General
So the real
Bondi
question for viewers is
used
this:
his
when officials
death
start
as
preparing for
leverage
something as
to
serious
gain demand
as overreach,
over
what does that say
Minnesota's
about the
voter
current
rolls.
state of the system?
Thank you for
and more
standing
importantly,
tall.
what kind of
on
safeguards should
that.
exist to ensure that
The
elections
court
remain
stopped them,
both secure
but
and
this
independent?
administration
If you found
attempted
this
to
breakdown
use a
helpful,
murder
make
of an
sure to share
American
your thoughts in
citizen
the
to
comments.
bully you
Do you see
into
this as necessary
handing
oversight
over
or
voter
a step
data.
too far?
On
Don't
March
forget to like,
31st, Trump
share,
signed
and
an
subscribe
executive
for more
order that
in-depth
attempts to
political
bypass
analysis
the
that cuts through the
Constitution
noise
to
and gets to
nationalize
what
our
really matters.
elections.